Hello and welcome to another episode of the Bleeding Metal podcast. My name is Pia, my pronouns are she, her, and I have my baby on my arm. My baby won't sleep, I don't know why, so maybe when there are cute baby sounds, I hope that you can enjoy them somehow. We are here because, the technique played us fool now and then, and this time a bit more often. We wanted to publish an interview with Stefan Keller from NEAERA talking about their new album All Is Dust that was released on June 28th, and it also joined the German album charts on, I think it was number 18, so It ranked quite high, best metal, hard rock and so on album for now. So congratulations for that. But unfortunately, our recording vanished. So yes, we thought, well, let's just talk about what he said in the interview. So from the memory of the two co-hosts I have here with me, and here is Martha. Hi.
Hi.
And also Kiki. Hello.
Hey, everyone. And this is the third attempt on our part. We were just talking about the little NEAERA curse that we have, because we first tried an interview with Benny, the vocalist of NEAERA, and then we had technical problems there. Then we had a lovely interview with Stefan, and that did not save. We don't know what happened. After we thought we actually had finally gotten over the technical problems that also arose with him. But we are so sorry that we will only have to tell you what our conversation kind of was about. And that is what I am doing here, because both Martha and Pia are NEAERA experts, and I'm a pretty newbie to their music and them as a band. So I feel like I maybe should pose the questions so that you can share your expertise about the band.
Yes, we can do that. Plus, I also had an interview for my German podcast, Pommesgabe. Since NEAERA is a German band, it was, of course, a German interview as well. But you can check it up if you speak German. And I can maybe add some stuff that he said there. And we can also discuss the album, how we liked it, the three of us.
But first of all, we also have a little super cool sound bit of Martha telling her personal NEAERA story to Stefan, and that was really nice. And I thought it is so valuable to hear this coming of age kind of story of how your political interests kind of were reinforced by listening to their music.
Yes, exactly. So let's just listen to that bit from the last interview. I first listened to your music when I was 16, I think. So that was when Let the Tempest Come came out. And then I went to the Armamentarium release show when I was 17. I have a NEAERA tattoo. I have all your albums, a lot of merch. And I have never felt this strong connection to another band. And so when I was at that age, especially as a teenager, the world is like a very bad place. You see all the injustice, all the problems in the world, and like, I am so angry and I don't know where to put my anger. And that was where your music came in, and it gave like a voice and like lyrics to what I was feeling. And that was a very special place to me.
Yeah, that's awesome. I saw your NEAERA tattoo when we met at the Euroblast festival. Do you regret it?
Absolutely not. And I am so grateful. Like, I know like so much shit happened with like other bands, people regretting their tattoos. I don't know if I, like today, if I would ever get another band tattoo, like, because it came from that time, and like they've been really great people and musicians throughout that whole time. So I'm really grateful, but I acknowledge how things could have gone sideways.
Right. So first of all, let's talk about the album, and with that, about the general sound. I listened to it and I have to say that I enjoyed it a lot, especially because of the cool sound, the clean sound, in terms of it's very well produced and it has a lot of really interesting progressive elements. It's not in general the type of music that I'm currently listening to, so I can't speak too much about it, but it sounded really like a really cohesive, high quality thing. So that is a good first impression already. But yeah, Martha, what was your impression of the album?
My first impression was it's a best of NEAERA album with new songs. So you have like so many elements and like things that remind you of like all your favorite albums of the past, but it's with new songs. So it doesn't get as boring, like as if you have a best of album and you're like, yeah, but I know all these songs. So it's like very, very familiar. Yeah. So I can like enjoy it even more and like listen to it over and over again and discover like little bits and pieces I didn't discover before. So I really loved it.
That was a funny thing from my interview with Stefan, because my podcast partner Marcel said the same, and Stefan was like, well, that was not the intention. We were looking more in the future, what else we're going to do. But he also said that they were looking for their strength, so figuring out what makes NEAERA strong, and then use this and work on that. So it makes totally sense that you say it sounds like a best of, because they tried out a lot of things in the past on their albums, like the pure metalcore sound, then they had death metal and so on. And there are also black metal elements on the new album. So that's really cool that they just thought, well, what worked on the previous albums, and let's make something new out of it. So both things make sense if you say it sounds like something new or it sounds like a best of.
Yeah, that's true.
That's really interesting. Bia, what was your favorite part about the sound of the album?
I liked that it was not so clean like a lot of metalcore albums are nowadays. So I hear people complaining about, well, every metalcore album sounds the same because they are all using the same
presets.
Yeah, presets. That was not the case with the NEAERA album. It sounded like they were on stage or something. So it was really organic. It felt alive, kind of. And I liked that it sounded different from what you hear from a lot of other metalcore bands nowadays.
Yeah, right. I absolutely agree. And I had a very strong feeling that they were songs written to play live, not necessarily like to sit at home on your couch and listen to it. But like there are so many like distinct parts for a crowd to do certain things. Like the amount of circle pit parts on this album, my inner power lifter was like already exhausted listening to it, because like seeing all the amount of cardio I would have to do at a show listening to these songs, I'm like, okay, another, like, I know exactly what people are going to do with that music. It's like, okay, I don't know, maybe I'm getting too old for this. Like NEAERA crowds at shows are like, I don't know, my age and a little older, I think. So yeah, but they do go crazy at live shows. So
their live shows are amazing.
Yeah.
That sounds super fun. That is also a cue for us to promote their tour. Are they touring? Are they playing live right now?
Yeah. So another thing happened like in between our recording attempts. So Benny Hilliker, the singer of NEAERA, he announced that he will have to step back for some time due to private reasons. I wish him all strength, the best, whatever he needs. I think at this point we don't know what's going on, and of course we respect their privacy and everything. But like to release this album, like we know the amount of promotion they put into this. Like they had so many interviews and everything, and they really wanted to get back on the horse, I think. And yeah, so to step back from that, like, I think something really massive had to happen.
Yeah, something really important. That's true.
Yeah, but they will play their release show on the 14th of September still in Münster.
Nice. So that might be a one time only. And if you're around, go get your tickets for the release show of NEAERA in Münster. Another super important thing that we wanted to talk about was the lyrics and the political content of them throughout NEAERA history. But let's start with this album. Are there lyrics that impacted you the most? Is there a phrase that stood out to you and you are still hearing in your head?
Not necessarily a phrase, but what I recognized right away when I saw the track list, that they have this song Antidote to Faith. And that's also what I asked Stefan, because I thought, why would you need an antidote to faith? Because faith is something that I would say is 100% positive. He explained that the album was written in the pandemic, and he also thought about how are people processing the pandemic, and not necessarily looked at himself, but at all the other people, what they did. And the antidote to faith is what now also rises with all the populism, that it destroys the faith that we have, for example, in humanity. And so that song, or the story behind that song, was most impressive for me.
To me, I think the title song from the album, All Is Dust, it has like this very repetitive all is dust. So yeah, like this whole vanitas topic. To me, it helps, like, I don't know, like when I have like problems or I think about like unsolvable things in the world, like, yeah, all is dust in the end anyway. So like maybe my problems are not that big. I don't know, focus on what's more important, something like that. And also from the Render Fear Powerless song, that phrase, I will render fear powerless. So because I'm like a very scared person. And so like one of the tattoo ideas I had from Being as an Ocean song is I refuse to be afraid. And so I will render fear powerless. So that goes like in the same direction. And I think that was a strong message to have these days.
I also found Render Fear Powerless impressive musically, because they had a lot of black metal in there. And I was like, wow, what's happening here?
That's so cool. That's so important too. And I liked what you said about the all is dust thing, bringing you out of the problems in your head, Martha. But that is a very existential approach. I love it. Yeah. But also I like to think about it, the whole, that we're all made of stardust. At the end of the day, all humans and animals and the whole universe is made of the same stuff. It is very calming, kind of.
Yeah, but also, I want to remind all press people when they send albums, like for journalists to listen to before the release, please include lyrics. That would have been really great. I mean, like, now that the album is out, it's easy to listen to it. But yeah, so that's actually, like, I think a really important point.
Yeah, I am absolutely one of the people that really looks into the lyrics and likes to understand the stories behind the lyrics, to better connect to the music as well. And the stories behind the lyrics was something that we wanted to talk about. So the interview, or the episode we wanted to make out of this NEAERA interview, was around the topic of politics and how NEAERA seems to incorporate political messages into their music for their whole band history. And Martha, you asked Stefan about how their lyrics tackle issues like social injustice, environmental destruction, and human rights, and how they choose which topics to address in the songs. Is there any specific song that you can connect to a specific issue?
Yeah, so like one of the older songs, the Armamentarium, it's like the album track from that earlier album. It has like a main war topic, and so that's like so easy to grasp, I think, because everybody can relate to the topic that war or like weapons is in a way the worst thing, because like it ends humans and I don't know, the rest of the world possibly. So yeah, that had probably like the biggest existential aspect at that time in my life. So but I acknowledge how my topics have changed very much, like from a very existential global to also like a personal level to me. And this is like kind of the point maybe where I lost them as like including the topics I care about, because like when I dove more into that whole subject of feminism and patriarchy and everything, also capitalism, this whole context of topics, because that's something they as like cishet males cannot relate to that much. Like it's like knowing about these things but not feeling this as a existential threat to yourself, and therefore not covering these topics anymore. And lately I had a talk with Yoko from Invoke, and I got to feature on one of their songs when they played in Aachen last Friday. So she gave me the lyrics to this song, and it was about her struggle to find a band as a female singer who does harsh vocals. And so I had this huge moment where I was relating to this topic, like while reading these lyrics so much. I was like, this is like the first time anyone ever talked about these feelings I can relate to. And so that was like the point where the aspect of gender came back into me choosing the kind of music I would probably prefer at the time in my life right now.
That's so cool. We actually had a talk with Yoko about that. We can link that in the description as well. It's so good to see her with Invoke. Their music is so cool too.
Yeah, they killed it live. Oh my God, they were so good.
When we talked to Stefan about this, though, they don't have like a favorite cause that they champion with priority. They just, I guess, are inspired by how terrible the world is and incorporate those themes into their lyrics. When we ask them about how their fans have responded to the political themes in their music and if they had faced any backlash, they luckily said that was not the case, right?
Yeah, exactly. So I was really, really happy to hear that as well. But so it's like these kind of metal fans who listen to that music, I think they relate more to these topics anyway. But I also felt like because they haven't been like very present during that time where this whole, I don't know, social media discussions in comment sections went like way out of hand. And so I would have been curious to know how, like, if they posted more topics like that on social media now, how the climate would be, because I think that also changed.
Mm-hmm. And I think that is a good and a bad thing, and that is probably a conversation for another day. But I really we've said this before several times on the podcast, I really welcome when bands are very clear about their values and they don't really care if they're going to lose fans for making statements. Because to me, that is, people filtering themselves out. And I like to be surrounded by people who, challenge my beliefs from time to time, for sure, but also that believe in inequality and in, human rights being a thing that needs to still be fought for. I have to say that was a bit of a sad moment when we asked if they see their music as a form of activism. And I remember mentioning that I had just seen this interview with Serge Tankian from System of a Down, and where he says that activism is one of the most important roles of an artist. And just like Alyssa White-Glass said last year at the Tuska Forum, she sees herself as an activist first and as an artist second. And NEAERA apparently not so much so, but I think it's still important that they do stand for the political messages that they spread through their music and on their platform to the fans that they have.
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, I think if it's like, yeah, if you see it like on a 3-dimensional spectrum, I think it's important, like the way NEAERA do it and the way they approach people, because I think they will reach probably other people and they will reach people differently than, for example, other kinds of activism. And I also remember that Stefan said that the aspect of like educating people about topics so that they can, like, if they have the information, they can make their own decisions. Because I remember that that campaign they had, I think it was climate change related topic, and then they had like an extra website where people could go. So it was this whole like, we're destroying the earth sentiment, and so here you can inform yourself about different topics. And because at least during the last time I had a feeling that it's really hard to reach people with like a intense activist approach, because then they block automatically. Like it's with vegan food. Like if people are just interested in things I eat or dishes I cook, like it's, it has been more constructive in the past. But I've never been the person like to tell people what to eat. But that's the reaction people give me when I tell them I eat vegan food or something like that.
I agree with that. And I think that's a very important point that you just said, like people who are not that much into politics, like many cishet white men maybe are, because they are not the ones who may suffer from the choices that politicians make, so that they kind of get an idea of, oh, this is important anyway. And I just have some motivation now because they told me, hey, there are important things happening in the world and you should pay attention, just to open the door for them. And then they can choose their battles or just get informed better to make life more enjoyable for oppressed people. And I think we also need bands like this who are not that deep into topics, so that is also maybe about knowledge. Because if you don't understand what they say because of vocabulary you never heard, or because you just don't have this basic knowledge because you never wanted to have it, then it's difficult for you to understand this highly activist bands. And so that's maybe something that can open the door for you, something in the middle.
I was just going to say something that can act as a gateway for new people to listen to more politically activist artists, or even just to inform themselves and educate themselves more on the different topics that NEAERA's music is touching on. I do think that it is a good thing for sure. I tend to see it as a post-whatever-ism thing. When people say, but women have the rights, like legally they have the rights. And so we don't really need to do that anymore. And so we can just talk about these things not as aggressively, and that is fine. I see that as a little, not very open to reality. But it also serves a purpose. The other approach, because as everything, maybe this is also a spectrum. The other approach is to be, super extreme and say things are wrong and you are also wrong if you can't see it. I think there's space for both in different situations, because sometimes, and that is, again, a topic for another day, but that is also the problem with cancel culture. People now complain about cancel culture because we are past cancel culture, or rather we are beginning to be past cancel culture. But I think it was really important. It was really important for us to cancel some things and some people.
Yes.
So learn to hold humans accountable for their mistakes and give consequences to crimes. And sure, now that we have learned kind of that thing, we can start having more open and and more chill conversations about how, people make mistakes. And that doesn't mean that their career has to be completely over, but still they have to be held accountable and really apologize and learn from their mistakes and learn to be better people, so that then, sure, we can give them the chance as a society to make amends and grow from that and keep their careers or whatever they have been building. It's a process, and you can't skip that step.
Yes, and also we mustn't teach people that it's not okay to make mistakes. It's good to be brave and to try something and then to learn from the mistakes you made. I'm not talking about committing crimes and stuff like that, but to just get out of your comfort zone. And then when someone tells you, well, that was not cool, then take this as an advice and think about it and then hopefully learn from that if the other person is right.
Absolutely.
I want to add from the interview that I had with Stefan that he also said his opinion changed because I also asked him if musicians have to be political, and he says that was his opinion in the past, and that changed to music doesn't necessarily have to be political, or artists don't necessarily have to be political, because there is also a third thing that you just didn't mention, that is escapism, that sometimes you just need to turn off your brain and then think about something that may relax you, because we are all struggling with something and that is exhausting, and sometimes we just need to relax, and music can also help with that.
Yeah, that is something that we all need, an escape through art as well. That is true, that needs a space as well. But also on the topic of learning and changing one's opinions, that is also a really important thing that we all should have in our skill sets. One thing that we had that I was honestly very proud of the interview, the interview we had with Stefan, is that when I pointed out that women in metal are usually not as prevalent, and it is because bands usually have their all-male crew or mostly male crew, and they keep working with them and or work with their friends who are also mostly male. And so one should, in my opinion, make a little extra effort and look outside those circles to look for women and LGBTQIA plus people of color to make the scene more diverse intentionally. And Stefan said that their crew is set and they probably won't have to hire someone new for a while, but when they do, he would be open and keep in mind that idea and maybe look for a woman. And that was something really honestly inspiring that everyone should think about. The funny thing afterwards was that then Martha proceeded to ask about the cover art of All Is Dust. And he was like, "Oh, we've worked with this graphic designer for a while. He's great." And I was like, "Sure, maybe for your next cover art, you could look for someone else, maybe a woman." Just saying.
Yes, but considering this is the first step, and he made that, and that's really cool, I think.
Absolutely. Yeah, we had a really good conversation all in all. It was very long as well, and we're very sad that it is not here, that the gods and goddesses of the internet failed us and did not save it. And we tried to recover it when we looked everywhere, and it is gone. But
yes.
Yeah, we will link in the description Pia's conversation with Stefan for Pommesgabel, which is in German. But for all of you German fans out there, you can listen to that as well.
Yeah, I also reviewed the album on Time for Metal for the people who prefer to read.
It's probably Google translatable as well. We will link in the description Martha's review of the album. And anything else that you want to add? Any other favorite thing about the band or the album?
I can only say it's a cool album. Listen to it. Make your own opinion.
Yeah, so if you like the past NEAERA albums, you're gonna love this one. I'm pretty sure of that.
Cool. So, hope that made you interested in their music, and maybe we'll have another chance of interviewing them. That would be really cool. Thank you all out there for listening to this episode. Also check out our other episodes if you haven't. Thank you for this talk, for this conversation about NEAERA, and follow us on social media stuff.
And we'll see you soon.
Bye.
Bye bye.